Hi, it's 6:59 and just in 1 minute we'll be going live making paper mache lantern covers. Hi, I'm Billie with the Gail Borden Public Library, and in just a minute we'll be starting making our own paper mache lantern covers to go over lights, to go outside. All you need is newspaper, liquid starch, something to wrap around like balloons, or I'm going to use a piece of glass. I'm going to use a glass vase, and possibly paint is optional. I'm going to use freezer paper a little and a hair dryer. So it's 7 o'clock. Hi everybody, I'm Billie from the Gail Borden Public Library, and tonight we'll be making paper mache lantern covers. So I'm just gonna put the camera down. And there I have a candle going, and turn the light off a little, and you can see I made a little paper mache lantern where you can see all of the lights and everything come through. Now, I didn't have an electric lamp, so I'm using a candle. I would use an electric candle for this if I was gonna leave it unattended, but I didn't have one to show you today to make this little starry night paper lantern. So I'm just gonna blow the candle out, turn the light back on, and let's get started. So what you need is something to wrap around, like a balloon. I use this vase that I was storing paintbrushes in that now needs a really good cleaning. I'm going to be using freezer paper, newspapers, and liquid starch. Now, a lot of people want to use flour and water, and that's great, but liquid starch is excellent for this as well. It doesn't get moldy like flour and water, and you can save it in Tupperware like this and not worry about it going bad. I also have some foam brushes, scissors. I have an awl to make the holes in my lantern. So let's get started. So first thing I did with my craft scissors was I cut the paper. Now, you can cut it in any size you want. I like to make big strips and small strips, so I have them in all different sizes. Some I like to cut smaller, and some I like to leave big and long. So I have them ready in all different sizes to get ready. Next, a popular thing to paper mache on is balloons, because you can just pop them and pull them out. But I wanted something round and cylindrical, so I used a glass vase. But you have to be careful if you're going to use a glass vase. Next, I have freezer paper, one of the most ubiquitous things in my craft room, and I'm going to use this to go over this so I don't get it dirty. So first thing I'm going to do is on the paper side, I'm going to mark the little overlap so I know where it's gonna go. I don't want to have too much freezer paper to deal with, so I'm gonna put this to the side and use it as a palette when I get to the painting part. Freezer paper is a great palette. Now with some Scotch tape, I'm going to tape this onto my... Now freezer paper has a waxy side and a paper side, and I'm going to tape this on with the paper side down and the waxy side out So when I paper mache this together, the waxy side will be easier to remove. Just gonna tape it down so it doesn't move. Now I have my paper mache, my liquid starch in here, and I just keep filling this up. To start out with, I'm going to take my longer sheets that go all the way around and start that way. So to start out with, I'm going to show you one way, which is the dip and squeegee. So I dipped it in all the way. Whoops, it gets a little rippy this way. And I'm squeegeeing off with my finger the excess. And then I'm going to wrap it around, putting all the pieces I ripped off. Squeegee the excess off. While this is an incredible messy way, your hands get filthy dirty. So does the table and everything else. It does get the paper even, and when you're wrapping it, it creates nice smooth layers. I have some paper towels handy. When you are using paper mache and liquid starch, pre-rip off some paper towels because it is gonna get messy. The second way, with your smaller sheets and a foam brush, is to dip it down. Make sure that what you're adhering to is damp. Place it on and coat it over. Now while this is a little cleaner for your hands, a lot less mess to make, it does make it a little wavy when it dries. Makes it a little wavy when it dries. But if you're cool with that, that is just a nice technique that you can use as well. When paper macheing, it's good to do a layer or two, let it dry, and then continue adding more layers. It will make it stronger and easy to adhere. Generally, it would take overnight for a layer to dry, but if you're impatient, like sometimes I am, a hairdryer can do the trick of helping to speed it along, especially if you're right at the end and you just need a little extra. So this is a fun thing to do over a weekend, something that you'll hop into over and over and over again. For something good and that I would want to use over and over again, I would do a good 10 layers. Now this is what I pulled off this morning from my glass cylinder, and I still have the freezer paper stuck on. So I'm just going to gently pull that out. That's why I had the waxy side out towards the paper, so that it wasn't going to stick and it was going to make a nice cylinder for me. Here is where I could take my scissors and trim. You can also, if it's thick, you can use sandpaper and other tools to refine it. In my original one, I put little pock marks all the way around it so it looked like a galaxy going around. To do that, I'm using an awl. An awl is a great tool used for many things, including framing, book binding, and all sorts of things, but be careful as it's really sharp. I store it in its original packaging so that I don't accidentally poke myself or that this doesn't come dull in my toolbox. If you're using very thick paper mache, you could also use a drill to do this next step. So basically, I am just supporting my paper mache with my fingers inside and poking holes in all different random places, different depths, so some are small and some are big, to make the look of a constellation going around. And so it shows light. Now I did a very thin one so I could just poke it with an awl, but if you wanted to do a thicker one to last you longer, I might use a drill. And for the last step, I just have some craft paint on my freezer paper, and I'm going to give it a nice coat. So paper mache can be used for so many different things. I've made a Christmas tree in Studio 270 at the library with it. We made big giant spiders to decorate for Halloween. And I've made paper lanterns to decorate during a summertime party to add a little more light with electric light. Remember, this is paper and you want to use a little electric lanterns when you're leaving these unattended. Just paint many coats until you get a coverage and a consistency that you like. So let's just move this up. Thank you so much for watching today, making paper mache lanterns. Paper mache is so versatile, and with liquid starch, it becomes a little more manageable when doing it over time, so that you don't have to keep making flour and water starch. Remember that the library is open now, so stop by. If you have any questions, don't forget there's tons of craft books available. You can call and place hold or stop by the library to pick one up. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and don't forget to make something.